What if you discovered your wedding day was a curse in disguise? I, Akwesi, a 30-year-old journalist from Lagos, was about to find out. I had always been fascinated by the strange and unexplained, and my latest assignment was to investigate a series of bizarre occurrences in a small town in South Africa. I arrived in Cape Town, and as I stepped off the plane, the crisp air hit me like a slap in the face. I was greeted by my fixer, Tembi, a 25-year-old woman with dark melanin skin, short hair braided with beads, and a warm smile. She was wearing a yellow sundress with white sneakers. Welcome to Cape Town, Akwesi, Tembi said, rolling her eyes. We've got a weird one for you. A bride disappeared on her wedding day, and people are saying it's the ghost bride's doing. As we drove to the town, Fembi filled me in on the details. The bride, Nalini, was a 28-year-old woman with light brown melanin skin, long hair styled in a traditional closer braid, and a curvy figure. She was wearing a stunning white wedding dress with intricate lace patterns. She was marrying a wealthy businessman, Kwame, Fembi said, her voice low. But something went wrong. The wedding was at the old church on the hill, and people say they saw Nalini walking down the aisle, but she never made it to the altar. I felt a shiver run down my spine. What happened to her? Fembi leaned in, her eyes wide. That's the thing, no one knows, but the locals say the ghost bride is real, and she's been haunting the church, looking for her lost love. As we arrived in the town, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the streets. I could feel eyes on me, watching me, and I knew I was in for a wild ride. As I stepped out of the car, the cold breeze swept through my hair, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Tembi led me to a small guest house on the outskirts of town, where I would be staying for the duration of my investigation. The owner, an elderly woman named Mama Lindi, greeted me with a warm smile and a plate of steaming hot buboti. "Welcome, Agwezi," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I've been expecting you." I raised an eyebrow. "Expecting me?" Mama Lindi nodded. "Tembi here told me about your investigation. You're looking into the ghost bride, yes?" I nodded, taking a bite of the delicious buboti. "Yes, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it." Mama Lindi leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Be careful, Agwesi. This town has secrets, and not everyone is what they seem." The next morning, I set out to investigate the old church on the hill. Tembi laid me up the winding path, the trees casting long shadows in the morning light. As we reached the top, I saw the church, its stone walls covered in ivy, its windows stained glass. "Wow," I breathed. "It's beautiful." Tembi nodded. "It's been abandoned for years, but people say it's still haunted." I pushed open the creaky door, and we stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and I could smell the scent of old wood and decay. I pulled out my flashlight and shone it around the church. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper in my ear. "Welcome, Akwesi." I spun around, but there was no one there. Tembi looked at me, her eyes wide. "Did you hear that?" I nodded, my heart racing. Yeah, I did. We moved further into the church, our footsteps echoing off the walls. As we reached the altar, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A wedding dress, torn and tattered, lay on the floor, a bouquet of dead flowers beside it. "Is that—" Tembi started. I nodded. "I think it's Nalini's dress." Just then, the lights flickered and the church plunged into darkness. I heard footsteps, heavy and deliberate, coming from the back of the church, and then everything went black. I slowly came to, my head pounding with a dull ache. Tembi was shaking me, her face pale in the dim light. "Akwesi, wake up! What's happening?" I sat up, rubbing my head. "I don't know. I think I fainted." We were still in the church, the stained glass windows casting colorful patterns on the floor. The air was thick with dust, and I could smell the scent of old wood and decay. Tembi helped me to my feet. "We should get out of here. This place is creepy." I nodded, but my eyes were drawn to the altar. The wedding dress was still there, but it looked different. The tears and tatters were gone, and it was now pristine and clean. Tembi followed my gaze. "What's going on? The dress, it's—" "I don't know, but let's get out of here." As we walked back down the aisle, I noticed a piece of paper on the floor. I picked it up, and it was a letter, written in elegant handwriting. "Dearest Kwame, I know you'll never read this, but I had to try. I've been watching you, waiting for you to come to your senses, but I see now that you'll never leave her. You'll never leave Nalini. I'll make sure she never gets to be your bride. I'll make sure she never gets to live. Yours always, A." I felt a chill run down my spine. What is this? Tembi took the letter from me, her eyes scanning it quickly. "It's a threat. Someone's after Nalini." I looked around the church, feeling eyes on me. "Let's get out of here, now." As we stepped out into the bright sunlight, I felt a sense of relief. But it was short-lived. A figure was waiting for us at the bottom of a hill, a figure in a black veil and a white wedding dress.